All right, folks, it's time for World Edition and time for the news. So we'll be discussing what's going on in the world and what's taking place. Greenland is definitely in the news, so that'll definitely be one of our topics that we'll be talking about. So NATO nations deployed to Greenland after tense White House talks. So it definitely looks like European troops, including German military personnel, are set to arrive in Greenland as talks with U.S. hit a wall over Greenland's future. So Europeans are preparing a military exercise in Greenland, and Trump ambitions are undeterred. 75% of Americans oppose U.S. attempting to take control of the Greenland area, is what CNN poll is finding. So Trump's Greenland push prompts NATO scramble for Arctic security ideas and survival. Trump apparently is risking a global catastrophe, and that's something that's being talked about as well. Squished between chairs on a train, how some passengers survived a crane collapse. So Thailand has had its second deadly incident involving a crane in 2 days. It was terrifying. Residents described carnage after the Thai train crash. So Thailand suffered another construction accident just a day after rail tragedy that killed 32. A new era for Canada China relations. Prime Minister Carney is signaling some changes and hailing the warmer ties with Xi and Xi's leadership and China. So, Carter's High Wire Act in China. China is urging Canada to break from U.S. influence as Carney visits Beijing. Russia knocks out the heat in Ukraine. Ukraine's Zelensky declares an emergency in cold snap. No power or water and 19 degrees Celsius. Kyiv is seeking relief from the Russian strikes and the cold weather. So Ukrainians are enduring freezing temperatures at home as crews rush to restore power. And what Teddy Roosevelt has to do with Trump's move in Venezuela and Greenland, Trump's territorial ambition, new imperialism, or a case of the emperor's new clothes is what The Guardian is reporting. So some people are saying that the Donroe Doctrine is dangerous. And Trump suspends immigrant visas for 75 countries. U.S. freezes new immigrant visas for 75 countries. And it looks like Trump's immigrant visa crackdown targets Southeast Asia's Cambodia and Thailand, a decision experts are saying that they're finding puzzling. So definitely that is something going on as well. And there's news about Henry Zeffman. Jenrick sacking is a huge moment for future of British rights. So Robert Jenrick was sacked by the Tories for plotting to defect. So definitely there's some people that are asking why Badenoch chose to sack Jenrick at this particular time. And UK's Badenoch is sacked that conservative leader. And X to stop Grok's AI from undressing images of real people after the backlash that it faced. So Elon Musk X is restricting the ability to create explicit images with Grok. So that is something that is being talked about in the news as well. And Iran, the limits of American power, what the collapse of Iran's regime would mean is what some folks are asking, including those at The Economist. So Iran's battered regional proxies still a menace to fight with the U.S. And Iran protests come after waves of unrest and all along those lines. And nearly 5 million accounts have been removed under Australia's new social media ban. So Australia banned social media for under 16s a month ago, and definitely folks are saying how that is impacting folks, as it looks like they have definitely got a lot of folks that have been impacted by this. Armed Kurdish groups sought to cross into Iran from Iraq. Sources are saying armed Kurdish fighters try to breach Iran border as regional threat grows amid the protests. Kurdish Iranian opposition in Iraq ready to take on the regime, but says not yet as Trump steps back from some of his threats. And U.S. thinks Hamas is ready to demilitarize as Gaza deal moves to phase two. Some people are asking who is Nikolai Medinov, the diplomat tasked with disarming Gaza. Netanyahu says the announced start of Gaza ceasefire's next phase is a declarative move. So Hamas says Gaza group is ready to hand over Gaza governance to Palestinian Technocrat Committee. So definitely that'll be something that folks will be paying attention to also. And Iran temporarily closes airspace with U.S. attack imminent. So definitely that is something that people are talking about as Iran protests and Iranian airspace reopens amid fears of U.S. strikes. So definitely that's something going on in the news and all along those lines, as apparently the protest crackdown has eased. Minnesota, Meta, and Amazon are paying up for enterprise access to Wikipedia. Wikipedia at 25, what the data tells us. So Wikipedia has been around for 25 years, and Wikipedia owner signs on Microsoft and Meta in AI content training deal. So definitely that's something that people are looking at as well. So a lot of people use Wikipedia for their research, whether they should or they shouldn't. And Japan and the Philippines sign a new defense pact as they face growing China aggression. So that's something else going on in the world theater. And UK police are blaming Microsoft Copilot for an intelligence mistake. No 10 no longer has confidence in West Midlands police boss as pressure builds for that person to resign. So definitely that is something that's going on as well. And apparently Iran jammed Starlink, and how Iranians are trying to get around it. So is Starlink helping Iranians break internet blackout, and how does it work? So definitely that's something that is being talked about on the world stage and all along those lines. And understand that President Trump is thinking about invoking Insurrection Act after anti-ICE protests in Minneapolis. So Minneapolis on edge as Trump is threatening the Insurrection Act to end the protests and all along those lines. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays as well. And an au pair testifies of lurid plot in Virginia double murder trial. So the au pair testified that ex-lover plotted murders of a wife and stranger, and it looks like she flipped on Brenda Banfield because she felt guilty about the killings of his, Brendan Banfield, because she felt guilty about the killing of his wife and another man. So au pair jailhouse letter before plea deal questioned in ex-lover's BDSM double murder trial. So that's something that folks are paying attention to on the court scene. And U.S. seizes Venezuela-linked tanker ahead of Trump Machado meeting. So U.S. forces seized 6 oil tanker as the U.S. seized the Venezuela-linked tanker ahead of the Trump Machado meeting, and all along those lines. So we'll see how that plays out as well. And Boeing apparently knew of a flaw in part linked to UPS plane crash, U.S. Safety Board has reported. Boeing knew about the flaws in the UPS plane that crashed in Louisville, the NTSB says, and definitely it looks like they have pinpointed the failed part in the UPS plane crash. And the prosecutor's vivid accusation against Maduro Belay, a complex case, which is how do you prosecute another country's president? So the DEA is zeroing in on Cartel of the Sun bosses as Maduro is hauled in to U.S. narco case. So Maduro's immunity claim tests U.S. power to prosecute a foreign leaders. So we'll see how this all still plays out in the foreign community as well as in our own community. And FBI searches a Washington Post reporter's home as part of investigation. So that is still going on as well. So definitely lots going on there. And Colbert jokes that Trump has found a new national bird. So Trump makes an obscene gesture and mouths expletive at that Detroit factory worker a couple of days ago. And definitely some people are saying, including those in the White House, that it was appropriate. But a lot of other folks are thinking that it's not that appropriate. And Democrats blast HHS for creating confusion in cutting, then restating the SAM HSA grants. So there's some confusion about what we're doing with grants as well. And performative bullshit is what some Democrats fume as Kristi Noem impeachment is out there as well. So Illinois Congressman Robin Kelly filed articles of impeachment for Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. So definitely they'll see how this plays out as well. And the U.S. Senate defeats war power resolution designed to rein in Trump. So Senate Republicans blocked a Venezuela war powers resolution, and GOP's Hawley and Young send an unsubtle signal to Trump. Bullying works is what some people are reporting, including those at MS Now and all along those lines. And 4 more lawmakers in video say federal prosecutors are investigating them. More Democratic reps involved in the refused illegal orders video report receiving inquiry from the U.S. attorney. So the DOJ wants interviews with Democrats as part of the investigation into lawmakers' illegal orders video. And you've done enough. Governor Tim Walz addresses ongoing ICE presence. Minnesota and Illinois invoked the 10th Amendment in lawsuits to block federal agents in their city. So it looks like that is still going to be a conflict between the federal government and the state government as well. And Trump says Iran has no plans for executions as U.S. weighs military options against regime. Trump would want military action in Iran to be swift and decisive, sources have reported. So we'll see if there's going to be another attack on another country. And a bipartisan plan in Congress aims to create U.S. reserve for critical minerals. U.S. lawmakers introduced a bill to create $2.5 million critical mineral stockpile. And it looks like Representatives Kim and Bera lead the Dominance Act to break China's chokehold and secure America's energy future, and all along those lines. I'm going to bring in Rick Rosner, see what he's got to say about a number of these stories, as well as Dr. Sharif and everything like that. The first thing I've got to ask you, Rick, is I've had a guest on my show. I actually invited her to be on this show, and she may come on other shows as well. She owns a bartending company, but a business speaker as well, but she also has her firearms. She's got the concealed carry permit and all along those lines. So I'm just wondering, are we going to see, and I don't know if you have one or Dr. Sharif's got one in Bangladesh, but as there are threats of the Insurrection Act being imposed, are we going to see more people rushing out to get concealed carry guns? And
I don't know. It's really tough to get a concealed carry permit in the state of California. My wife and I have talked about getting a gun, but we don't trust ourselves. I won't get a gun for the same reason I won't get a motorcycle, because I'm more likely to hurt myself than somebody else.
I understand. So definitely you might hurt yourself more than somebody else, and all along those lines. Dr. Sharif, do a lot of your people carry weapons in Bangladesh, or is that something that's more of a Western thing?
Uh, no, our country not like USA. People, if you want to carry gun and all of the things, you need license and or all of the things. So this is very complicated in Bangladesh. So only some high profile people, those who can do this weapon licensing and this thing they can do. Especially I see recently when the politician they go for campaign, they use their protections and all of the things. But most of the cases, Bangladesh not very open like USA to manage these things. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Your state, Rick, is back in the news. And the other story that I didn't get to is apparently the Colorado appeals panel appears skeptical of Tina Peters' sentence. So, appeals judge seems skeptical of the sentence for the pro-Trump Colorado clerk and all along those lines. So, it looks like she's going back to court after a boost from the Colorado Democratic governor. So, maybe she's going to get a lighter sentence since the appeals court.
I don't know. I think she got 10 years roughly for getting a hold of voting machines and messing with the tabulation. And she committed, explicit voter fraud, and the penalties for that are fairly severe. But yeah, if they give her clemency, I can see maybe reducing her sentence, which might be a compromise. She's an old lady. I think she's, pushing 70. Right. So give her 5 years instead of 10. I'm okay with that. And it's a compromise to avoid giving her total clemency, just letting her out of prison because Trump wants that. It's people kowtow to Trump, and it's a reasonable political strategy because we got 3 more years of the frickin' guy. But at the same time, it's disappointing.
Well, speaking of things that are disappointing, I saw that a candidate, I'm not sure what he's running for, but he raised a significant amount of money to be involved in his campaign, his reelection fight. But Cassidy apparently raised $1.65 million for his reelection fight. So apparently it costs a lot of money to be a politician. I don't know how much Steve is spending because that's a statewide election, or actually, no, that's a county election and everything like that. And county and city probably aren't as much, but they're not exactly cheap. But these state and federal elections seem like they cost a whole lot of money that they're probably only for the well-to-do. They can afford them. So what's your take on this amount of money that it takes to run a political campaign?
Yeah, the amount of money it takes to win an election has brought in some of the worst senators and Congress people in the history of the U.S. You got to be like half a scumbag to want to, serve. It's such a brutal. You got two jobs. You have to spend, I don't know, 30 hours a week legislating, even though lately the Congress hasn't been doing much of that, and another 30 hours a week cold calling people and begging for money. It's a terrible job. Though, I mean, yeah, it would be great to be a senator and have all that power, but it's bad. It's Citizens United, where the Supreme Court said that money is free speech. That when you throw money at candidates, you're just exercising your right to free speech. That was a terrible decision, and I don't know. We need to get. Everybody will tell you, including David Walker, you got to get money out of electoral politics, but there's no way that'll happen in the near future.
Yeah, that's very true and everything. Apparently, the Nobel Committee is taking heat at home as Machado is quoting Trump in D.C. And it just occurred to me, I think she's already got her trophy. So is there some possibility that she might just hand the trophy to Trump since he's already wanted the Nobel
there's
Peace
a chance. She kisses his ass, and it's just a freaking gold medal. And if it gives her a political advantage, there's a chance. I mean, he is definitely bribable by that kind of crap. You give him some kind of gold trophy, and he loves it, and he'll do what you want.
You just give him a gold trinket and he'll be very happy and everything. By the way, the Clintons are back in the news. They say Comer is lying with impunity about the Epstein inquiry, and they are still refusing to testify in the Epstein inquiry, according to the New York Times and everything like that. But it looks like Representative Comer is launching a contempt proceeding against Bill Clinton.
Yeah, Comer is a freaking idiot who looks like a thumb. His head looks like and he always announces all these actions and all these revelations, and nothing ever comes of any of them. In the case of Clinton, he's in the Epstein files, but he hasn't been president in more than, in exactly 25 years. So
it's been a long time.
It's more important to see, where our current president is in the Epstein files.
Well, that's much more important than everything. Speaking of that, apparently abortion's back in the news because Newsom, where you're at in California, said he's not going to extradite an abortion provider to Louisiana, but Louisiana wants a California doctor extradited to face.
Okay, so here's the deal. There's Plan B pills. If you have sex and you don't use a condom, and the guy, or the condom breaks, you can go get a pill called Plan B the next day or in the next 3 days to remove any risk of getting pregnant. These pills are totally safe, but in states that are anti-abortion, they have legislated against them. And a law in Louisiana says if an out-of-state doctor sends Plan B to somebody in Louisiana, they're in violation of the law. And Newsom's saying your law can suck it. We're keeping our doctor here, even though he's sent Plan B, I assume is what he sent, to Louisiana.
Yeah, that makes sense and everything. There's another issue that I was watching a documentary about yesterday, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about it because I think it's still ongoing, but it involved the Memphis 7 and all along those lines. And that was this notion of unions. How big do you think unions are? Because apparently one of the biggest coffee companies in the world, Starbucks and everything, had faced a effort by their workers to unionize around COVID safety and around finances.
All right, so the American workers get bullshitted. The unions, a third of Americans used to belong to a union. I belong to a union. Unions are great. I have amazing lifetime medical insurance and a lifetime pension from unions. But Americans have been told, no, that you do better if you're on your own. You just need to work hard. And so the number of people in unions was cut in half. And which is sad. People have protections in European countries. And what we get is bullshit and terrible, the working conditions like Amazon, where You don't even have time to find a bathroom. You just have to piss into a soft drink, a Gatorade container if you're driving one of their delivery trucks. We need unions. And generally, if the employees of a company are so pissed off that they try to unionize, there are real issues with their employment circumstances.
And by the way, I was wrong yesterday. I don't think the trans decision has come, even though it does seem like the Supreme Court will go against the trans athletes. So I was wrong when I said that yesterday and everything like that. So the case hasn't been decided, or at least it hasn't been officially decided, even though most people think that the courts are leaning against the trans athletes. But the U.S. Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights has initiated 18 Title IX investigation. So apparently the Trump administration has opened up 18 new probes over trans athletes. I didn't even
So they found out of 50,000 varsity college athletes, apparently they found 18, which is what, 1/30th of 1% of, one kid in 3,000 is trans. And so they're trying to, it's never been the frickin' Dems. The Dems have minimal concern about trans athletes. It's always been the Republicans saying the Dems are pushing the guys to compete against women. It's bullshit. It's a bullshit issue affecting a tiny minority of everybody in sports. But Marsha Blackburn and every other freaking Republican will. They've used this tiny number of trans athletes to get Trump elected and cause suffering for hundreds of millions of Americans through his crazy ass incompetence.
They're essentially making a law for one person.
Yeah, the two states went to the Supreme Court saying, Idaho, West Virginia, saying we do not want trans athletes in our state. And Idaho has 0 trans athletes. West Virginia has, I'm sorry, I looked it up. They each have 1 trans athlete.
One trans athlete per state.
Yeah, so we're talking, this whole thing, these cases are because of 2 frickin' people. And the way to fix it, if you're that worried about your 1 trans athlete, this, what's her name? Anyway, she's I think she throws the discus in West Virginia. Let her compete. If she wins and she's good, she is good. As a sophomore, she finished 3rd in the state. So as a junior, if she finishes 2nd or 1st in the state, give her a silver or a gold medal, and then give the next runner-up athlete the same frickin' medal.
I wouldn't even do that. No, just you're making a rule for one person with no scientific data to prove that there is an advantage there.
Yeah, I guess you're just trying to make
or here's what you frickin' do. You start a GoFundMe for her family to move into a state where they're not so big an asshole.
No, here's what you do. You tell people it's stupid that you're making a law for one person, and then move on.
Well, the whole idea is, if you go on X, there are a lot of posts that give MAGA voters a medal. It's "You fooled me again" medal, where you vote for Trump because he says he stands for a whole bunch of stuff like world peace, no aggression, America first. Then he does a bunch of crazy crap, and you got the medal. Yeah, you believed his bullshit. And the whole thing with trans at this point is to somehow avoid the issue from giving MAGA idiots an electoral advantage.
No, that makes sense and everything. Hey, Dr. Sharif, I got a question for you and all on those lines, because I saw this very funny video yesterday. It was actually quite interesting, because I know you speak to a lot of young people, but it was a high school teacher, and I forgot where he was. He was somewhere in the, I believe, Midwest and everything like that. But he was able to relate to his students, because he was able to speak in their language, because he said they had a whole separate language. So he did a whole speech using a lot of slang of Gen Alpha which is the people that are of a certain age range. Definitely high school would be Gen Alpha. I think it might even go up to college and everything. But you can find the video on Instagram and Facebook. But it was a professor that did this whole thing around speaking using words like Delula, I think was one of them, and Riz, and some of the other phrases that are out there. So when you talk to your students, are you able to speak that kind of a language that is native to their tongue, and do you try to relate to them in that same way? Because it was quite funny watching this professor speak to them in their separate slang language.
This is very interesting discussion. You are correct. Actually, Gen Z, they have their own language. In some point, they love to go for argument. They love to use slangs or any other things. But they have very committed and they have a strong commitment with their work, with their countries and families and other things. If you ask me honestly, I never use this kind of language with my students. I never encourage students, the Gen Z, to utilizing this kind of things, because at the end of the day, you have to go for your profession. You have to go for your own company build up, or you have to go for your real leadership activities. That time, it's some point it's trouble. But I believe this is interesting point, and hopefully everybody will adjust with this process. Thank you.
No problem. Jacoby, do you ever relate to those people? Because I know you speak to some young people, both in the cosplay world and in the gaming world and everything, that are in that age range. But do you ever do like this professor? Because like I said, I just stumbled across that video. I believe it was literally either last night or this morning, and it was quite. The students were having a field day with the professor literally doing, or the teacher doing, a lecture in their style of language. I was just wondering, do you ever attempt to do that yourself?
Joke with people using different colloquialisms. I couldn't even get it out. Colloquialism
And slang, but using it there.
Yeah, I mean, that's what everybody does. I mean, if you're going to relate to people or have fun with people.
Yeah, it's called code switching. Everybody,
Exactly.
I do it. Like when I bounce bars, I would talk all rural. I would talk like a hick, because as a bouncer, if I had that accent, people would know they weren't getting that I was some kind of, idiot, hillbilly idiot, and they weren't going to get what they wanted from me, which is what I wanted. Usually when people are bugging the bouncer, they want something that you can't give them, like to keep getting served even though they're shit-faced, or to get an underage person in. And if you talk like a freaking dang, mother, anyway, yeah, people do it all the time. My wife hates it. If there's a show on where people are talking all rural, I'll start talking like anyway. It's fun to talk different.
Like I said, the teacher was definitely having fun with that. I'm sometimes wondering, do we know enough about our historical figures? I mentioned that there was a civil rights leader, that it was I think a precursor to Rosa Parks and everything along those lines. If I remember Claudette, and I think I'm saying her first name right, and everything along those lines. But then I was watching a documentary yesterday about one of the founders of NOW, who's still living at the age of 96 and all along those lines. And she might be getting ready to push near 97, but she was also involved at EEOC at the time of the Civil Rights Act, and was literally escaped from Berlin during the Nazi time, that being Sonia President Fontes. And I think a lot of people, because like I said, I'm not going to say that I automatically knew who she was until I was watching the documentary, and then I was fascinated by her life story. And this is a feminist activist, writer, and public speaker, and everything like that. But do you think that
people don't know shit about history? Like Rosa Parks, everybody knows she didn't want to get in the back of the bus, and it's like since you don't know the story, you think, oh, one day Rosa Parks just decided, hey, I've had enough of sitting in the front of sitting in the back. I'm going to stay right here. No, Rosa Parks and Claudette, they were activists. They were highly, involved and educated in the issues. And when Rosa Parks didn't give up her seat in the front, that was, a part of an explicit strategy and a movement. And people don't know. Didn't know Claudette. I still don't. You know,
Yeah,
'cause-
they said that she was Claudette Colvin, who just passed away back on January 17th, was an American pioneer of the 1950s civil rights movement and a nurse's aide. And on March 2nd, 1955, and I can't remember if that was before or after Rosa, she was arrested at the age of 15 in Montgomery, Alabama, for refusing to give her seat for a white woman on a crowded, segregated bus. So she did the same act as Rosa Parks, but I think more people know Rosa Parks because that's the one that gets more of the credit, historically speaking, and everything like that. And I don't remember the timeline and everything like that, but definitely she was in that fight and everything. As a matter of fact, there was even a notice that said who came first, Rosa, or it looks like Claudette Coleman was actually the first one and everything because her act, because Rosa Parks did hers in December of 1955.
And people are going to have to do it all over again. Trump today announced he's not giving any visas to people from 75 countries, and all 75 countries have non-white people in them. You know, I'm sure if you want a visa and you're in frickin' Sweden or Finland, great countries, by the way, Estonia, you're fine. You can come over here, but not if you're, any of the countries in Dr. Sharif's neck of the woods, in Africa, where people might, there's a meme from Family Guy where a cop is holding up a card to Peter Griffin, the dad, trying to decide whether he's guilty of a traffic offense, and the card shows 3 shades of white, and it says okay, and then 3 shades of brown and not okay, and that's what our government right now. Oh, yeah. ICE, 2,000 people sicked. 2,000 ICE officers have been stationed in Minneapolis to create disorder, even though Minneapolis takes only 600 regular cops to maintain order. And ICE is just going around just being all crazy, and nobody's discouraging ICE to be assholes. And Trump is threatening to do the Insurrection Act because Minnesota is being rebellious. It's all designed to fuck with the midterm elections.
Yep, and that's it. He's already floated the idea that he wanted to suspend. How do you suspend the elections? The suspension of the elections. He brought that up last year. Coming into this year, he's testing out things. He's testing out ways to be able to suspend the election. That's all this is. The Insurrection Act. Can I suspend the election if there's an Insurrection Act? If I declare martial law, can I suspend the election due to that? This is all that is. Where it goes next, because you have what's going on in Minnesota. Then you're going to have have the same thing go on in New York. You're going to have the same thing go on in other blue cities and blue states. That's all this is. He's testing it.
Well, speaking of testing, I saw that there was one of the articles says that he is targeting a country that has even more oil than Venezuela and everything. And I'm not sure if they're talking about Mexico or Colombia or if Greenland's gotten more oil. So I'm trying to figure out which nation they were talking about. But they did say that he is targeting a nation that is more oil rich than Venezuela is. And already he's trying to figure out how he can get to the Venezuela oil and everything like that. So I don't know if you've looked it up or if you have any idea what that country would be.
Well, he's already stated that he was going to hire mercenaries or hire private contractors. Sorry, let me put the professional term instead of just mercenaries, to guard the oil in Venezuela that he's supposedly already selling. So obviously the people of Venezuela just changed management. They didn't get any help from Trump.
He's just talking about Iran. Iran produces 3 times as much oil, but he's been talking out of his ass. He says he's going to help the protesters, but there's no easy way for an outside country to help the protesters.
Well, go ahead.
Well, they have 2 different armies. They have the Republican Guard, which is 150,000 troops used to suppress their own people, and then they have the regular army. So you can attack regular army bases, but that's not going to help you fight the Republican Guard. Dr. Sharif has a comment.
Yeah.
I want to share a story. It's a very interesting story, and history repeat in our lifetime. Mm-hmm. In 1325 to 1351, in India, in Delhi, we had a king. You call it Muhammad bin Tughlaq, a sultan of Tughlaq dynasty who ruled Delhi, sultan from 1325 to 1351. He often described in a popular history as a mad king for India because of all of his. Definitely, he was intellectual. His full name was Muhammad bin Tughlaq. It's a historical issues, or his nickname Junna Khan. He ruled most of the northern and central India.
Mhm.
He was highly educated, influential, and very fluent in Arabic and Persian. Long time Persian has the story that they ruled India, and interested in philosophy, mathematics, medicine, and logic, and so on. But for few things, everybody called him Tughlaq and mad, because he shifted his capital from Delhi to Dolatabad. It was 1,000 kilometers south, and it was one of the bad decisions for him. He introduced copper and brass coins equal to the value of the silvers, and he actually loved to give lot of punishment, extremely strict and violent punishment to his official scholars, innocent people. He want to create fear. He loved to create fears, uh, and he always want to punish his people. So why am I sharing these things? Because in 1351, he actually killed by the peoples. History said. Uh, I don't know that this Muhammad bin Tughlaq come again in USA, and he's love to give punishments to his people and all of the things. So it's actually interesting moment. Yeah, 75 countries immigration he stopped. Uh, let's see. Even interestingly, I saw the African small country. They also go for visa restriction for USA. I do not know how many people visit in these African countries, but I don't know. Like he may behave like a this Tughlaq, this king, a mad king, who actually destroy Indian economy. Let's see what happened in USA.
Yeah, we'll see what happens and everything. I have an interesting story to share about that because today, well, this year is the 250th anniversary of the country and all along those lines. And I was stumbling across an article that was quite interesting that I did not realize. But do y'all gentlemen know what was the first country to recognize America? It might surprise some people because it surprised me when I saw it online and everything like that. But the first country to actually recognize America after it got its independence from the king in 1776.
Yeah, and I do not know Jatavi. Like what I see in USA, actually, he create a discriminations and society with all of the white people. Even I think Mark Lee and Jatavi, you should come to India and Bangladesh.
We'll have to go visit. We'll have to go visit you.
If I can afford it, hey, I did it.
Yeah, I definitely, if I could get that ticket, I would definitely be there. And by the way,
Y'all are
you'll
my
get,
people.
you'll get a kick out of this. Two things. You'll get a kick out of
Rick,
this. I did mention
you
you on
also
my
can.
show,
Rick,
Dr. Sharif. I did mention you on my show, and all along those lines, the online dinner party, because I had the guest that is from Durham. I think Toby knows her as well and everything. Cantana Peterson, that has a bartending company, but she has traveled out of state to do some of the bartending. She's been to Mercedes Stadium in Atlanta, and she's also been, I think she said, up to Maryland and everything like that. And she told me that if the deals are out there, because I did offer, just like Kendu Spice, the opportunity to advertise here, and just like Stacy's Chips, Stacy's Pizza Chips does as well here on Pod TV. And she said that if the opportunity presented itself in Bangladesh, and like the Trophy just said, if the money is there, she will bring her bartending service to Bangladesh.
yeah, yeah.
So she will bring it all the way
Look,
to
I'm
you
very
if the
serious
money
kind of
is
man.
there, even though I know that a lot of those countries are very much anti-alcohol. Not saying all of them are, but I know that a number of them are. And all of those. By the way, this is where you'll be glad to know the first country to recognize America, and this folks that I saw this on several sources, including AI and everything, was actually a Muslim country. Morocco was the first country to recognize America as a country, as an independent country. So people sometimes forget that we have more history with the Muslim population than we like to.
How actually right now that the Trump administration build up all of that, because my family also live in USA. I think he also only want white people. Let's say he welcome South African white people in USA. But he create all of the ban and everything, and he also threatening that maybe he will kicked out many like black people like me from USA. So here is the deal. Deal is like my talent economy. We do focus on our own economic and employment and climate innovations. So Jatavi, you are welcome. You are talent, you are intelligence. Rick, you are also welcome because you are very popular in Bangladesh, in South Asia, in India. If you come, you can get. And Markley, you are very hardworking, very smart guy. We need your expertise to build like branding Bangladesh or branding this area, like all of the things. So I trust me, like from my experience, I see when different cultural people come together, it's become very productive, very productive. Even in Alibaba, I discussed with their CTOs when I was in Malaysia that how you build up so much a big company. They say we always welcome cultural diversity from different cultural people, even they come from North America, from Europe, from Bangladesh, from Africa, whatever it is, we go for cultural diversification. The same thing I saw in Silicon Valley. You have a great companies and great corporations, and I do not know what about the politics. Maybe this is right, but I do not mind. I want to welcome you all because you people are talent, right? You have talent. You have extraordinary abilities. So let's come here. Yes, you can contribute in $1 trillion economy, and you can be next billionaires. No problem with your gaming industry, with your media. Yeah, you can be next billionaires, right? Yeah,
we
it's
can
possible.
compete with Elon Musk and all along those lines. But as Jacoby knows, there was a gentleman that was a great historian, and he had a similar philosophy to you, Dr. Sharif, which is why there is a whole center named after him, and all along those lines, and why a lot of international studies are done. So we might have to get you to come here to the U.S. and actually maybe have an affiliation with the John Hope Franklin Center. What do you think, Jacoby? Don't you think Dr. Sharif would be a great fit for the John Hope Franklin Center, which I know does a lot of international studies at Duke University, where me and you are located in Durham, North Carolina. So I think Dr. Sharif could do a good fit for the John Hope Franklin Center. What do you think, Jacoby?
Yeah. I don't know what the John Hope Franklin.
Yeah, is there any link or anything you can share with me? We trust me, there is a very interesting business story, cultural story.
Yes, please.
You have a lot of room. I do not know actually if it's not possible. If I get chance to be a team member for the political party of USA, main extreme political party, or I have authority to do some good work, trust me, first thing first, I introduce this talent people, the cultural diversity, the hidden beauty of economy to North American people. North America has a lot of good people, let's say. My colleague, all of you are brilliant and you have all of the brilliant idea in mind. But let's say what I'm discussing this and working closely with this Silk Route 3.0 and thousands of people actually joining in this ecosystem as an entrepreneur. And we need it. We need your technology. We need your smart approach. We need your business portfolios. We need your ability to solve complex problems. So through this process, actually, USA can get benefits. Bangladesh can get benefits. India can improve. All of the region can grow in an economic way. So that's why, and actually, few American students, they're closely working with me. They are fantastic from Silicon Valley. They have very good attitudes and they are contributing a lot. And this shows actually very valuable for eyes opening, right? For our audience, like how they can connect with North America. What are the good things they can bring from North America? So let's move forward and make progress. And we have series of conference every month. If you have time, you can join. We are working with European Union. We are working with definitely with African communities and South Asian community. So I want to welcome you all. Let's join and share your views. take actions beside these discussions. Take some action, business action, right?
No, action is always good and everything like that. Hey, Toby, I was watching a video that involved a historical figure and also involved a figure from Raleigh. I'm not a big fan of him just because I'm not a big fan of his church and all along those lines, but he did bring a valid point up, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. But it was Pastor Woodard, I think is his name. He's the guy with the upper room and all along those lines. And it was also Malcolm X. And even though they were talking about it in a different perspective and all along those lines, because we know Malcolm X would not necessarily agree with the upper room pastor and everything like that. But they were saying that we as a people, meaning African-American people, have spent too much time putting our bag in one bucket and aren't doing enough in terms of being involved in the Republican Party and everything like that. So I just wanted your thoughts around that. Now, of course, some of that was around the stance because he found some of those stances to be anti-religious that the Democratic Party was, or anti-Christian that the Democratic Party was behind. And I don't agree with him on that and everything like that. But I just wanted your take, because even Malcolm was like having this notion that we have that the conservatives and the liberals are talking to each other and working in consort with each other and aren't necessarily working for the interests of the people and everything like that. So I just wanted your take on those arguments and if you had any thoughts around that.
So it sounds like he's a black conservative that was trying to push, hey, come join the Republican Party because the Democratic Party is the party of slavery.
That's
same redundant routine that they continue to push, even though when they say that, they ignore the fact that the party right now that's flying the Confederate battle flag is MAGA, the Republican Party, the party that is cutting all the funding to minority things is the Republican Party. The party that's, literally only has one black male senator in the Senate, I think, or is he still there?
You talking about Tim Scott? Because I'm not sure Tim Scott is still there.
So you don't have any black senators anymore, but that's the party you want me to join. So it's the same redundant thing, and it's not a matter of I'm more so you go for where the policies are and you choose the policies that are best, but you also have to take into account the context around those policies.
Right.
But right now, if you look at everything the Republican Party is putting out, there's so much bad context. There's no reason to even consider it.
So, as a black man, as a proud black man, I got to say the Republican Party has nothing for black people right now. The Republican Party, yes, started as the party of liberty under Lincoln, but the Republican Party has never been more racist, and it gets more crazily racist every frickin' day.
That's right, Rick. Power to the people.
Power to the people. Yes, he's ready to do his Malcolm X impersonation and everything like that.
The funny thing now is that, and this is why it always tickles me when people like, I'm sure that gentleman would bring up Candace Owens, Candace Owens, or bring up Jason Whitlock sayings, or bring up.
He invited one of them to his church.
Exactly. So therefore, it's the same redundant thing. Candace Owens and Jason Whitlock are people that have found that they can make money off of attacking black people.
Right.
Honestly, this is why there's a discussion around Stephen A. Smith, because Stephen A. Smith is going down that same path. He is really attacking black women a lot. Don't get me wrong, Stephen A. Smith has a background, done a lot of stuff for a lot of black reporters, but the thing is, right now he's found a niche, and that niche is doing a lot of attacking. He's doing what Bill Cosby started doing, sneaking around doing. Well, outside of the raping of women and stuff like that. But no, when Bill Cosby was doing some of his speeches to different people about blaming black people, blaming black fathers, blaming black people for a lot of their issues and ignoring some of the things. He did a lot for the black community, but the problem is he started going down a path where it was an attack on the black community a lot, rather than, hey, look, these problems are still here. We got to figure these problems out. It's not all your fault. And there are issues within the black community, but so they ignore, black on black crime, but you ignore the fact that there's a lot in the community that are trying to attack this.
Right.
There will always be room within a racist party for members of, a few, members of the oppressed minority to say, no, everything's cool, nothing going on here. Under Hitler, there were probably quite a few token Jews or people married to Jews or people who were like 1/4 Jewish or whatever, who were allowed to exist under Nazism as long as they towed the line and said, yeah, the Nazis are not being mean to Jews.
Either towed the line or gave away their property, because like I said, I mentioned Sonia Pressman Fontes and all along those lines, the 96-year-old activist, and all in that space, because she's still an activist even at that age and everything like that, still involved in a number of issues. But I know in the documentary that I watched, she shared that her dad was very much a big time clothier and everything like that, and he basically met with the Nazis and gave them his business in order for them to allow him to escape the country, basically. So basically he gave his business away for free.
I mean, we're facing issues in this country right now, which people have to decide whether to speak out or to duck their heads, keep low for the next 30 years. I mean, 3 years. Sorry, I hope not 30 years.
Well, like I said, hopefully not 30 years, because that would be like a dynasty, a true dynasty and everything like that. Even though we've had some dynasties before, because some people would say that the Bushes were a dynasty, even though I don't necessarily believe that. And some people still put the Kennedy family in that dynasty category, even though only one of them made it president. But they did have a senator and a number of other offices, including attorney general and everything like that. So some people, and of course, I think it was the mother was the leader of the family, if I remember correctly, and everything.
Yeah, I mean, the Kennedys have a really checkered history. But well,
they definitely have a checkered history and everything like that. I did see a great musician. I mean, he had his own problems. He had escaped from poverty. I think he had dealt some time in prison. And I want to say that one of my buddies, and I need to check with Jasmine, may have even worked with him, but in terms of the people that have passed on, one of the producers of the Fugees just recently passed and everything like that. So they are considered a hip hop legacy and a hip hop group that has got a lot of recognition and all along those lines. And I did see that one of their founders just passed. I think it was yesterday, or maybe it was earlier today, but it's been more in the recent time and everything like that. So I don't know if you got any Fugee stories, Rick, or anybody else, but I do know that they're a popular hip hop group, and I know some hip hop, but I just know that they've got some popularity and everything like that.
No Fugees. I've met members of Outkast, and usually the story you have is you meet some. When I had a job where I would get to work with people, you meet them, they turn out to be perfectly nice to work with, and that's your story. Yeah, I met this person. Dave Grohl, really nice. Andre 3000, really nice. Yeah. Why would they be a dick in a work capacity? People you work with, there was one guy, I think maybe Topher Grace made fun of me to my face. But mostly people are nice.
And most people are nice and all along those lines. And of course, we know the talk shows are having, which you worked in that business, are having a field day with our good buddy, Mr. Trump, President Trump, because they just start finding all kinds of great material that he's allowing them to have, because a lot of the stories are very funny that are coming out of his space that are material for the late night host. You used to work in those rooms, so I'm sure that if you were in those rooms now, you would be among those having a field day writing all the jokes for the Seth Colberts, the Jimmy Kimmel's, and the others.
No, it's not a field day. It's not a field, like when some a-hole occupies the spotlight for too long, it becomes miserable because you have to keep cranking out the jokes, but you used up all your good jokes like years ago. Michael Jackson, remember his time of trouble where he was in and out of court for years for, allegedly touching boys? Try to joke about that for 2 years in a row. When Britney Spears had a nervous breakdown and it started getting really sad, try joking about that. When Amanda Bynes people couldn't joke about her, it got too sad. And, I feel a little sorry. I mean, it's a great job to have, so I don't feel that sorry for people in late night. But I feel a little sorry because they still have to keep coming up with shit about Trump for the 12th consecutive year.
Yep, and it's been a lot of times, and some of those jokes have become stale and everything like that. and all in that space. So definitely it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I did hear that there is a electric vehicle, and I got to find out more about it, that apparently is being created by a brother. So that we now have a technology company. I mean, everybody knows the EVs and the ones that are very popular, but apparently there's an African American run Tesla company or Tesla like company. I've got to learn more about it. I just found out about it this morning and all along those lines. But yeah, there's a lot of technological innovations, and I also saw that there's I know that Jacoby showed us the car, but apparently there's a SUV that's very technologically enhanced as well, and everything like that. So I did see that recently, and all along those lines. So, what new technology things are you seeing, Jacoby? While I try to find that gentleman that's got his own EV company.
I mean, there's new tech everywhere. I mean, from AI stuff, like I said, CES just happened. The TVs, even in every aspect of life. I'll bring up the CES stuff. This is CES 2026. Here's some some of the new tech that they showed at CES. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there.
Well, we'll bring that up.
You had the best of CES here. This is CNETs, but this is the best of CES. These are the winners that they chose as the best. I mean, you've got the Samsung Trifold. So now the phone, instead of normally right now, well, this has been out actually overseas for a long time. Matter of fact, it's in your neck of the woods, Dr. Sharif.
If you want to see what the future looks like, it's at CES. It's the world's largest tech conference. And to give you a taste of the tech that really matters, here are some of the official 2026 best of CES winners, awarded by CNET. It's a team of tech sites made up by CNET, ZDNet, PCMag, Mashable, and Lifehacker, because we are the official media partner of the Best of CES Awards. And the winners were chosen from our team of experts on the ground, checking out the tech.
Again, that Samsung Trifold.
The Best Artificial Intelligence Award went to Lenovo's Kira, which is like Lenovo's answer to Apple Intelligence.
Hey, Kira, catch me up on what I missed today.
As well.
Here's what matters.
It's this hybrid AI personal assistant that uses a mix of on-device processing and cloud-based models. The assistant then becomes available anywhere, even if you're switching from your phone in your pocket to the laptop or tablet in your hand. And it's included with Lenovo's devices. The Best Tech in Gaming went to a Lenovo Legion Pro rollable concept. Now, we have seen rollable OLED displays before, but Lenovo now has one that brings ultra-wide gaming to a laptop for the first time. That makes it a perfect portable battle station. Lenovo also had the Best Laptop Award for a modular laptop design that is more sustainable. It is called the ThinkPad X1 Carbon Gen 14 Aura Edition. Lenovo calls this a space frame design. They let you access and replace individual parts when something breaks, instead of getting a whole
this
laptop.
Right here, though, is brilliant.
Samsung wowed the crowd with the Galaxy Z Trifold, which won Best in Mobile Tech. Now, this hybrid gadget is a standard phone,
take out pieces,
but
that's
it opens up to a sprawling 10-inch display. So it's a practical 2-in-1 device that fits in your pocket.
That Trifold
maybe it
is
depends
already
on
up overseas.
The Best Robot Award went to Boston Dynamics Atlas, and it stood out because it has this naturalistic walking gait, and it's ready to be deployed at Hyundai manufacturing facilities. So it might just work on your next car. A smaller bot took the title for Best Smart Home Tech. Roborock's Soros Rover is a floor vacuum that grew legs to climb stairs. These bendable legs are controlled independently to avoid obstacles.
What you got,
and
Rick?
it even cleans the stairs.
I have more
The fun part of
technology news.
CES is seeing all the luxurious televisions.
They've
The best new
discovered
TV
a
is the
group
Samsung
of apes
S90.
On the savannah who make spears. They carve spears using their teeth. They chew on sticks until they form a sharp point by chewing on them, and then they use the sticks to impale bush babies, which are tiny primates. So this is one of the, we thought we were the only species who makes spears, but no, they found some freaking ape that they make spears, and they soak in hot tubs, that they're natural hot springs. And so I don't know,
Yeah, that's interesting and everything. Just really quickly, that gentleman that I was trying to remember was in Atlanta, and apparently it's Derek Bailey. He is a prominent entrepreneur who founded Derek Automotive and is aiming to be the first Black-owned EV manufacturer in the U.S., focusing on retrofitting gas cars to electric and developing self-charging EVs with integrated generators, carrying on the legacy of the first African-American automaker, C.R. Patterson, because apparently C.R. Patterson did that when he founded the first Black-owned auto company, C.R. Patterson and Sons, in the late 19th century. And there are other Black entrepreneurs in the EV space as well, including Josh Avis with Spark Charge and Paul Francis with KIGT, which are addressing the EV accessibility through mobile charging and changing charging station installations, respectively, further expanding opportunities in the green energy sector. So I might try to reach out to them and see if we can get them on
The
the show.
good news about car manufacturing is in the years of really shitty cars, the 70s and 80s, it was tough for a new car manufacturer to break into the market. And so you bought crappy American cars and you liked what you got, which was not, the cars were not great. They fell apart, they got terrible mileage. But now the barriers to entering the market with a new car seem to be much lower. There are a ton of new car companies, and that's great for everybody.
Yep, tons of those that are coming on, and that's like I said, it apparently is driving the economy. Because, like I said, the retail sales, which actually surprised me, because I know a lot of times we've been complaining about how the economy is going and everything, but apparently car sales was a major thing that was driving the economy in the holiday season around November and December. Like I said, my own mom is looking for a car right now. The last time I talked to her, which was yesterday, she's still in that hunt, but she's been given a little bit of an extension on her lease. So she's got a couple of extra days to find that car before she might have to renew the lease or on the rental or widen the search.
Yeah, the whole business model of the car industry is going to have to change because, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, those people won't have the money to blow on cars that the previous generations had. So cars are going to have to get cheaper. They're going to have to get smaller. People are going to have to figure out car sharing applications where, most people's cars sit, just just parked for 23 hours a day. And so the whole industry is going to change.
Yep, no doubt about that. And on that note, we're going to get on out of here. We got other shows coming up, including World Politics at 5:00. But
all right, see you then.
Yep. So we're going to get on out of here, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side.